on dimes. In practice drills, the number one defense can't stop them. People take notice of that, and the more that the players see it, they're gonna. Then the comments start happening over the lunch table. They start happening throughout the building, and that's when the pressure really will get severe.
Shed, you mentioned, what do they have next year in the draft?
2 first-round draft picks, their own pick and Jacksonville's pick.
It's got to play in.
The NFL usually gets excited when Jason Kelce speaks, as if he were reciting instructions from stone tablets. However, he didn't only voice an opinion this time. A full-on warning flare that he launched directly into Cleveland exploded larger than a shattered keg at a tailgate. The Browns owner went into meltdown mode rather than dismissing it. The whole irate uncle flipping the table at Thanksgiving vibe, not the composed, this is a press release kind of meltdown. Suddenly, we have a football rivalry that is simmering hotter than ribs on a grill outside the dog pound. After winning the Super Bowl, Kelce, a man like a Viking statue covered in beard oil, became Cleveland's unofficial prophet of doom, also didn't say it in a whisper. Like a storm siren over Lake Erie, he declared it. The Browns believed that attempting to explain Deshaun Watson's contract without nervously chuckling would be their biggest nightmare this season. But instead, Kelce wrote, "Danger's coming," to the city while waving her arms and wearing shoulder pads like Gandalf.
Given what we saw yesterday with Shedeur Sanders, somebody on the Cleveland Browns is 100% getting fired, probably by the end of this year. The person who's probably going to end up getting fired is Kevin Stefanski, because I know that he didn't want Shedeur Sanders on the team. It was Andrew Berry who made that pick. You can't really go against your GM. Bad things happen in this situation. But Shedeur Sanders is not without fault for what we saw yesterday. This is the play that we saw yesterday that has the internet just exploding, where Shedeur Sanders took like a 24-yard sack. Half of the internet is saying that this is all Kevin Stefanski's fault.
People would roll their eyes, chuckle, and resume their arguments about who makes the finest chili if this were any other fan base. However, this is Cleveland, a city that handles every warning as if the skies were about to collapse. These fans have endured mistakes so catastrophic that they are still discussed in pubs. Therapists might have to give loyalty cards for group sessions because of quarterbacks who didn't even outlive a TikTok trend and their constant sorrow. When Kelce lit the flare, she essentially said, "Cleveland, you're doomed." Neither the owner nor the city remained silent. He retaliated with sheer rage rather than logic, strategy, or even a false smile. "How dare anyone point out the obvious about our broken squad?" is the kind of heart-pounding fury. Kelce's warning quickly escalated into a public altercation that is poised to rock the dog pound to its foundation because, in a word, it is the Browns, a helmet of chaos.
People what they want.
For sure. I mean, listen, what do I want to watch? I want to watch Shedeur Sanders.
Who doesn't want to watch that? The world wants to see him go out there and not only play but have success. At this point, guys are rooting for him. This isn't anything against Dylan. This isn't anything against Joe. I'm just saying the excitement is there for him to go out there. He's going to put eyes on the screen. He is going to bring people to the game. It is what it is, man. I would love to see.
Spreadsheets and analytics are not necessary to notice it. You only need to take a quick look at their sidelines. One coach appears to be doubting every choice that brought him to Cleveland. Another is chewing gum so forcefully that you would assume it owes him money for rent. Together with the quarterback. He appears to have just realized which franchise he signed his soul over to, since he is gazing into the nothingness. However, Jason Kelce is more than simply a loudmouth. He is the elder member of the most popular sibling rivalry in America, a former Super Bowl champion who is now the subject of a podcast. This is the guy who went from pancaking defensive tackles into the ground to making viral tirades about tight ends. The NFL genuinely listens when Kelce speaks. Everywhere but Cleveland, where listening is regarded as optional homework, you already know you're failing rather than pausing for even 2 seconds to consider the possibility that he may have a point.
Help but wonder if everything is a test when it comes to Shedeur and the Browns. Not just how are you with your teammates, the playbook, all of that, but, they were very upset about the speeding tickets. Obviously, that was a negative. Everything, you're being judged by every little thing, and the fact that he took himself out of practice because his arm is sore. Again, I'm not questioning how hurt he is, but if you're not injured and you do take yourself out, is he going to be judged on?
The Browns owner had a full-blown emotional breakdown in public after pressing the panic button. Let's face it, this squad isn't particularly well known for disobeying wise counsel and succeeding miraculously. They weren't being insulted by Kelce. He was helping them out. Saying something like, "Hey Cleveland, how about not driving headfirst into the ditch again this season?" But gratitude? Ignore ITN response. The proprietor did the athletics version of having a tantrum in front of the cameras at Walmart. The sound of the steam whistle exploding off his skull was almost audible. We've been mediocre for decades, and will stay mediocre on our terms, the ferocious outrage yelled. Browns supporters have already witnessed coordinators, coaches, and quarterbacks being replaced like bad speed dating. However, problems start to arise as soon as someone has the audacity to express the obvious. Additionally, Cleveland is behaving as though it's breaking news and that Jason Kelce has insulted the honor of the entire city. But let's face it, Cleveland's own past has warned them 1,000 times already.
Seen that miserable game by the Cleveland Browns. So they throw Joe Flacco in there, and I like Joe Flacco. He did good, but they gave him the resource of all the first-team guys. Then they throw Dylan Gabriel in there with first teams and second teams. So Dylan always is getting protected. The same thing again, they gave this scrub max protection on every play. Yeah, he completed some passes, but let's talk about his mistakes. He's still inconsistent with his throws, but he at least had max protection.
Hope is so strong that it might be used to butter bread at the beginning of every season. Additionally, every season concludes with the same déjà vu crash and burn. It's similar like hearing from your cousin that your fantasy draft was awful. You were already aware of it. However, hearing it aloud still infuriates you.
This is the crazy twist.
This drama isn't even necessary for Kelce. He's retiring. He's not dressed appropriately. He isn't preparing for the Browns game. And stirring this pot doesn't benefit him. He is literally watching the sparks fly while relaxing on the sidelines, enjoying a drink, and carelessly dropping matches into Cleveland's gas tank.
They were not going to start Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders in week 1. Kenny Pickett had a hamstring injury. It makes it easy to go with Joe Flacco. And the question isn't and wasn't going to be who's the starter in Cleveland. The question is who's going to be the backup in Cleveland. Who's going to be the number 2 quarterback when they open the season against these.
The Browns owner's tantrum is hilarious because of this. In essence, he is debating with a retired icon who has nothing to lose and endless time to drop bombs. In the meanwhile, there is a sharp division within the fan base. With a nod, half of them said, "Well, he's not wrong." "Don't you dare disrespect our sacred mediocrity," said the other half. Because, let's be honest, being a Browns fan is akin to being a member of a chaotic church. Despite your unending suffering and your prayers for miracles, you manage to make it to church every Sunday. The altar is the only area used for football. The owner only needed to let the teams play if he really wanted to clap back. The terrible punchline is that.
Also can't blame anybody who says, I don't necessarily trust this coaching staff to develop a quarterback or to evaluate the quarterback position. They've made some really oddball decisions at this position over the last several years, and I don't blame anybody for questioning, do these guys actually know what they're doing?
I don't think that's unfair at all. The thing I would say is that they're
The Browns are so fixated on being insulted that they sustain the circus themselves rather than using wins to drown out the noise. Cleveland also disregards the golden rule once more. Winning is the loudest method to silence people. Winning games are the only scoreboard that counts. Forget about it. Although Jason Kelce may have only stirred the pot, the Browns owner completely appended the spice rack and created a spectacle that the NFL is unable to quit witnessing. This rivalry has evolved beyond simple football rivalry. It's a high-end cable drama with shoulder pads. Because this is the reality. Football thrives on narratives and mayhem. You have to watch the chaotic, petty, and amusing narrative that Cleveland just provided. Kelce exposed the Browns in addition to warning them. And the owner's enraged retaliation was a confession captured on camera, not a sign of strength. One angry reaction wasn't the end of the meltdown. Oh no, Cleveland's never-ending tragic comedy was just Act 1. Because you spiral rather than merely become enraged when Jason Kelce fires a warning shot.
For him to get on the field earlier than where I see it at this point has to be with if one of the veteran quarterbacks during the Eagles and the Panthers just looked bad, then all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay, well, let's see what we can do with this, and maybe he might earn the reps. And then the second big thing is he has to light it up when it comes to the preseason games. I told you, the dinking and dunking, where you at the pecking order at this point, that ain't gonna get it done. You have to turn eyeballs. You have to make plays.
And the Browns front staff accomplished just that. It's more difficult than a quarterback who backpedals without a plan on 4th and 27. Remember, these are the same supporters who once threw a parade to celebrate a losing season. Even Kelce's fire alarm warning fell short of that comedic gold standard. Therefore, nobody was intimidated when the owner responded with a fiery clap. It appeared to be a man pretending to be a nuclear weapon while waving a sparkler. This is where it becomes more juicy. The Browns essentially prove Kelce correct by shouting so loudly. It's similar to someone alerting you of the possibility of a basement flood. You yell at them for bringing up water instead of looking for leaks. Cleveland Logic 101, that is.
Don't clean up the mess.
Simply yell at the messenger until everyone forgets the truth. The craziest part is that Kelce wasn't even trying to create trouble. He's retiring, he's in the era of his podcast, his dad life, his national TV sip of a cold beer, and his ongoing global trend. Every statement hits twice as hard since he has nothing to lose and no defensive ends to avoid. Cleveland acted wildly, treating Kelce's innocuous warning as if it were a nuclear declaration of war. The owner of the Browns didn't even have to speak. It would have been priceless to be silent. It would have been elegant to remain silent. Kelce's comments would have been lost in the backdrop if there had been silence.
40 years old. Let me tell you something. The only person I've seen ball after 40 is Tom Brady. At the end of the day, when you look at this, think about this. The Baltimore Ravens decided almost a decade ago he was washed. What are you talking about? They own a second quarterback. No disrespect, but Dillon Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders cannot possibly be as worse as what Joe Flacco is at this point. And guess what? Have a day, Cleveland Browns. Do yourself a favor. You already went with the youth movement. Turns out that half the players, the best players on your team, are rookies and young guys.
However, we got fireworks instead. Fireworks are something that the NFL never declines. Now, while talk programs gorge themselves on the drama for weeks, the media gets to play highlight videos of Cleveland's meltdown alongside Kelce's gigantic beard. While Steelers fans are laughing uncontrollably during the upcoming season, Philly fans are likely watching with popcorn in hand. A casual remark could only be transformed into a full-fledged soap opera by Cleveland.
The worst part is this.
The NFL relies heavily on soap operas. Its secret sauce, its bread and butter, and its oxygen is conflict. Because Cleveland still needs to play football while everyone is preoccupied with their arguments and unable to see the true problem. No angry reply, soundbite, or tirade will prevent Lamar Jackson from ripping them up like a highlight reel or stop a pass rush. However, rather of stacking touchdowns, let's squander precious time using hot quotes to disprove Jason Kelce.
Brilliant plan, don't you think?
This is where the psychology adds even more flavor. Jason is more than just the older brother of Travis Kelce. He is associated with the most popular pop cultural circus in America, where Taylor Swift's name appears in every headline. For more than a year, the Kelce family has been making waves on billboards, timelines, and gossip columns.
If you're a football fan, we clearly know what you did. We clearly know that the plays that you gave for Dillon Gabriel, throwing the check down underneath to make him look good. Same plays for Flacco. Then you throw Shedeur in the game with a tight end whose name ain't even on the roster, and some other players. And then you have them run long routes.
As a result, when Jason disparages Cleveland, it quickly moves from a football headline to popular rumors. Furthermore, the Browns owner didn't only quarrel with a retiring center by retaliating in this way. He also posted himself on the gossip page. Cleveland now appears insecure, defensive, and completely unproven. Similar to the child cursing, "I wasn't crying." Even though his eyes are red and his voice is cracking, everyone can see the truth as he wipes away tears in front of the entire class. The more Cleveland yells, the more obvious it is that Jason Kelce touched a nerve. And that's what makes this entire story so beautiful, its self-inflicted humor. The Browns were not destroyed by Kelce. By overreacting in public like a reality TV meltdown, the Browns ruined themselves. Let's take a moment to zoom out. Cleveland is more than just a football team. They are a football experiment that keeps blowing up in the laboratory. Every time they come close to being relevant, something spectacularly falls apart. A quarterback injury that ends the season, a last-second fumble, or a missed field goal. With far too many seasons and no end in sight, it's more of a sitcom than a franchise. It wasn't a revolutionary discovery when Kelce brought this to light. It was terribly evident. However, it became a national spectacle due to the owner's enraged denial. Rather than dismissing it, he focused attention on himself and essentially said, "Yes, this is our problem." Furthermore, the timing couldn't be worse. The season will soon begin. The NFL is evaluating which teams appear prepared, which are unstable, and which are crazy. Cleveland is currently wearing that ridiculous label like a name badge. Everyone can see the water streaming through the cracks, which aren't just showing, they're becoming bigger. What comes next, then? You already know, I see. Another Browns meltdown. The entire league is watching with popcorn this time. Jason Kelce's warning will appear on the screen like a curse with every defeat this season. The story that Cleveland was warned and simply refused to listen will be repeated for each interception, whiffed block, and stupid error. The owner's breakdown will be the icing on the cake when that occurs. The ideal we told you so moment for all of football. The internet has already been loaded and locked. Social media will do what it does well, old videos will reappear, and receipts will be retrieved.
Log Cleveland to death.
In a nutshell, that is the Browns. When they had the opportunity to remain silent, keep their heads down, and let victory speak for itself, they opened their mouths and validated all of the preconceived notions about them. Jason Kelce did not merely issue a caution, gave Cleveland a huge spotlight. Rather than moving aside, they stumbled into the beam and tripped over their shoelaces in front of everyone. The funniest thing is that Kelce most likely forgot he said anything at all. The Browns are in boardrooms in the meantime.